My companies together collectively are doing over $30 million a year in sales, and needless to say, I'm freaking happy. This is what I envisioned when I started 15 years ago. This is the entrepreneur I wanted to be, the fighting entrepreneur. Love my life, love being able to talk to you guys, and that's what this podcast is for.
This is The Fighting Entrepreneur, the podcast dedicated to entrepreneurs looking to change the world. Learn how to start, build, and scale a business in today's highly competitive business environment. Here's your host, The Fighting Entrepreneur, Anik Singal.
All right, welcome. Man, all you crazy entrepreneurs, you fighting entrepreneurs. This is Anik Singal, and yes, I am finally, officially on a podcast. People got me to do a podcast. It's a big deal. All right, well, I'm pretty excited because we're going to talk about a lot of amazing things. Maybe not on today's podcast, but we got a lot more coming up. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to decode an entrepreneur. We're going to decode what it takes to succeed as an entrepreneur. We're going to decode what it takes to basically crush it. I'm going to talk about myself, talk about my life. I'm going to bring on some amazing guests. But let me tell you something. This isn't going to be one of those podcasts where we just have the same guest on again and again. I got to be honest, I hate that stuff, okay? Every time someone's launching a new book or a new whatever, they do a podcast tour and they end up on every podcast. That's not what this one's about. So some of our episodes are going to be longer. Some of them are going to be shorter. I'm going to, sometimes I'm just going to feel like I have something to say, so I'm just going to say it. And sometimes I'm not going to have anything to say, so I'm not going to say it or I'll go real short. So today, I want to do something, all right? People ask me all the time, Anik, tell us about your story, or why exactly do I consider myself the leading fighting entrepreneur? Well, I'm going to tell you that story today. I'm going to actually tell you once and for all. I think I want to make this the last time I tell my story because I'm getting a little tired of it. 15 years in, feel like a repetitive box here. But so I'm going to tell my story, and then we'll be able to take this clip and use it in all kinds of places. But my story, guys, it fits the story of a lot of people. It's got all the drama. It's got all the Hollywood, okay? It's got all the crash and burn. It's got the, starting from the bottom, coming to the top, rags to riches, as they say, except I can't really say I was ever rags. I lived in a beautiful home, had amazing parents, and even got a car when I was 16. So really wasn't rags, but I had $100 to my name when I first started, and there was a point in time where I fell $1.7 million in debt. I just want you to think about this for a second, all right? Come on, think about this. I was like 27 years old. $1.7 million. So I guess I take it back. I wasn't in rags. I was pretty bad. It was a really shitty time in my life. So we're going to talk about all of that. I'm going to talk about how I came out of it. The reason I'm a fighting entrepreneur is because I fought my way through some of the biggest obstacles and challenges that anyone can ever have. Going back to my original point about, I think that one thing you'll realize as we go through this journey together, as we go through the fighting entrepreneur journey together, that you and I were not that different. We share a lot of similar stories. You know what? You, myself, and Steve Jobs are not that different. You, myself, and Elon Musk are not that different. Guys, there are some commonalities amongst those who are really, truly succeeding as an entrepreneur. And those are the commonalities that we are going to flesh out in this podcast. So in my story, the reason I want to share with you, because I wasn't born an entrepreneur. I didn't start to learn to walk and then look at my mom and dad and say, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur when I grow up. No, I wasn't. I actually wanted to be an architect when I was growing up. It was the strangest, dream ever. And so what you'll see and what we'll see together is that most of us discover we want to be an entrepreneur, and many of us discover it for all kinds of different reasons, right? The most common one that I hear all the time is people say, I want to be an entrepreneur so that I can be rich. I want to be wealthy. I want to have a lot of money. And let me tell you right now, if that's your reason, it's the stupidest reason ever. It is the worst reason because it's stupid. You're going to fail. That's what's going to happen. You're going to literally fail. If you're doing it for the money, not going to happen. All right? So what was my reason for doing it? When I first started, I wanted to buy a nice car. It's as simple as that. I wanted to buy a BMW M3 and coast around and just be awesome. And funniest thing is when I finally did make enough money to buy a car, I bought a Range Rover, not a BMW. That's the car I fell in love with. But Yeah, gosh, man, doing it for the wrong reason. No wonder I fell $1.7 million in debt. So as we go through this journey together, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to really bring you to reality about what the heck, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? Because let me tell you, it is hard. It's probably the hardest way to make money is to become an entrepreneur. People say they want to do it because they want to work less. I got news for you. You will work probably twice as hard, at least for a period of time. So, born Indian American, right? Grew up in America, but born Indian American. Everybody around me. Look, I don't come from a family of entrepreneurs, all right? My grandfather was a big industrialist. People don't know that, but he was. He was a huge, very successful industrialist out in India. I knew the man for a very, very, very short time in my life. He passed early in my years, and I didn't spend that much time with him. So I can't say that the environment of being around him was what attracted me towards entrepreneurship. Nope, not it. Not the case. Not at all. So what did I want to be? I want to be a doctor. Why? Because every doctor I knew, people were like, whoa, that guy's a doctor. Oh, his son's a doctor. Oh, that person's a doctor. Plus, they drove really nice cars, which I told you was one of my biggest goals, and they lived in the biggest homes. So, nice and simple. Want to be a doctor. And didn't think at all about the fact of what comes with it, what my day would look like, or all that. I just wanted the money. So I wanted to be a doctor. So I start doing what I need to do to achieve that goal. I go through school. I'm working hard. I'm getting good grades up until 3 in the morning. I started studying for the SATs when I was in 6th grade, not by choice, thanks to my dad. But, probably one of the best things he ever made me do because it taught me the brute lesson of just amazing hard work and what it can do. But yes, I started studying for the SATs when I was in 6th grade. I'm not smarter than anybody else, okay? I'm never the smartest person in the room, but man, you cannot out-hustle me. I'm almost always the hardest working in the room. So I worked hard because I wanted to get into a great university, and it worked, by the way. I got a full scholarship into one of the most elite programs in the world. By the time I went to freshman year pre-med, I had schools like Harvard, I had schools like Stanford recruiting me for grad school, for med school, for PhD school. It was awesome. I had it made. They were actually paying me money to go to college. Imagine that, $3,000 a year stipend to go to college. So the truth is, I thought I was done. I thought it was going to be awesome. My parents were excited, right? It was working. My parents are going around. They're like, hey, my son, he's going to be a doctor. He got a full scholarship. And I'm like, yeah, this is exactly what it's supposed to be like. This is what it's supposed to be like. So long story short, I get to school. Everything's great. I go to my first class. I'll never forget. My first class, biology. I walk out of that class, and you know that feeling you get sometimes? You're like, man, something is not right. I just had that feeling. That feeling like where you're like, I forgot something at home, man. I just forgot something. I was like, I'm in the wrong place. So that feeling, it built up. A few weeks later, I become paralyzed. Literally, I'd wake up in the morning. I cannot get out of bed. I'm sitting there, the thought of another chemistry or biochemistry or biology class would make me want to stab myself in my eye. So I decided one day, I said, I don't think becoming a doctor is for me. I don't think I want to do this. And that petrified me. That scared me so much because what else am I going to do? How am I going to tell my parents? Where am I going to go? I have a full scholarship. Wow, talk about first world problems. Here I am with everything being handed to me and I'm not happy. It's not enough. It's not what I want. God, I felt like a complainer. So I let it go. I kept fighting it. I finished the first year of school. Second year, I remember a moment. I'm in the library, and one of my friends, she comes up to, we're going to study together, and she looks at me, and I'll never forget. She slams my book shut. Bam. Just slams it shut and says, that's enough. Go talk to your parents. Go right now. Go talk to your parents. It's all right. I was so burned out at that point. I was so tired. I actually got up and I listened. I grabbed my book bag, walked straight to the car, drove 45 minutes, got home, told my parents I need to talk to you. They said, what's up? Said, I don't want to do this anymore. And they said, what do you want to do? I don't know. I want to go to business school. I'm thinking about the days, Dad, when I ran that lemonade stand. I was the happiest then. He was looking at me like I lost my mind. ran a lemonade stand, son. Life is different than that. I said, I know, but I was so scared. And my parents, they shocked me. They turned around and they said, you know what? It's your life. We'll support you no matter what. If that's what you want, then that's what you'll do. You have our support. So all of a sudden, before I knew it, I'm applying to different schools. I'm applying to business school. I'm getting out of this becoming a doctor mode. And then I get accepted into a great business school, a great program. And yet again, paralysis. Did I really want to do this? Was I really going to be that guy that throws away a life that everybody else dreams for? A silver platter with a silver spoon. I'm going to throw it away for the unknown, for the no idea of what life held for me. No one to coach me, guide me, and everyone to sit there looking at me like, what are you doing? Well, you know what? A story for another day, but comes down to a turtle. For those of you who know me well, you know my turtle story, but if you don't, I'll tell it some other day. Well, it'll take another 15 minutes on this podcast otherwise. I had a moment, I had a sign, and that sign helped me make the decision. I decided to quit, studying medicine or pre-med, and I switched universities, went to a different place, and I was like, I'm going to study business. Guess what? This is funny, all right? You ready? So I'm like a week into my classes, my business classes, marketing, management, HR. Yes, this is what I wanted to do. This is going to be awesome, right? Wrong. Freaking hated it. Now is when real fear came in, because I'm sitting there. I walk home one day from my new classes, and I'm like, what is going to become of me? Am I going to be that broke idiot kid living in the basement of his parents' house when I had everything? I don't like school. What am I going to do? How am I going to live my life if I don't like school? And so that was when really I had one of the biggest realizations of my life. And I think that a lot of you probably have had this at some point. I was tired, fed up of learning theory. I was tired. I wanted to get out. I was yearning to get out there and do. So that night, I went back to my dorm room and I went to Google. You know, Google was just starting back then. It makes me feel so freaking old to say that. Google was just starting back then. So I went to Google and I typed in, how to make money. Because I just wanted to get something going. I wanted to get my hands dirty. Now, a lot of entrepreneurs, I want you to take a moment right there. A lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of quote-unquote entrepreneurs, they're missing that. Man, see, I was ready to take action. I didn't have answers. I didn't know everything, but I just wanted to go do. But a lot of entrepreneurs, they're not ready to do anything, even when they know a lot. So I typed in how to make money, and Google came back with an auto suggestion, said how to make money online. Thought, whatever, sure. Clicked on that. Needless to say, I didn't know that moment when I typed those words into Google, that was going to be the moment that began the ripple effect that would change my life forever. But it also began the 18 months of pure torture, because from there, I went from one thing to the other to the next. And how many of you, again, listening to this or lucky enough to be watching this on YouTube can relate to that? God, you go from one thing to another, and you listen to someone talk about how great an opportunity is, and it just doesn't seem to work that way for you, does it? You try, and it just doesn't work. Man, it's infuriating. Man, it's embarrassing. Man, it hurts. So I went through that for 18 months. Now, people say, Gary V, love you to death, bro, but I got to tell you, hustling is not going to do it alone. It's not. Because, see, in those 18 months, I had no lack of hustle. I hustled my butt off. You want proof of hustle? I took a full-time load of classes. I was sick as a dog, having surgeries every 6 weeks. And I was trying to build my own online business. And I joined a financial planning firm. I literally was doing more things than 4 people do in a full-time career. So I was sleeping for 5 hours a day, 4 hours a day, and I did not have a social life. I did not go to parties. I did not go to football games. I was hustling my butt off and had goose egg to show for it. Goose egg. So, no, it's not enough to just hustle and hustle and hustle some more. It'll kill you. It'll kill you early, but it's not enough. So what finally made the change for me was when I decided to quit. I was done. Sucked. You know what? Luckily, I'm a hard worker, right? I told you, in any room, I will outwork anybody. I know the return on the hustle. I get the concept of what everyone means by it, but luckily, I had great grades. Luckily, I was doing really well in the financial planning world, so I had amazing job offers on the table from Charles Schwab, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. I was going to go off to New York, be the investment banker. I had job offers that my friends would kill for. So I decided, you know what, man, this whole entrepreneur thing, it's not for me. I'm going to quit. I'm going to go do that. Why would I turn away these 6-figure jobs? I'm coming out of undergrad and getting a job that could make me 100 grand my first year. I'm stupid. I got to go do this. I'm going to go become a fancy investment banker, make millions of dollars. And so I'm going to do it. But I go to the forum that I used to participate in back then, this discussion board, and I post one time. I said, thank you, everybody, for all your help. Love you guys. Not for me. If I don't make any money in the next 24 hours, I quit. I don't even know why the heck I said that, by the way. No idea why I left that window open, because I had already decided to quit. But I left a window, a 24-hour window. I like to believe that was a divine moment. God didn't want me to quit, came in and opened a door and left it open. It was kind of a visual of God like jamming his foot in the door right before it tries to close. And somebody messages me on the discussion board, literally with zero history on the forum. I had never seen them by the way, I lived on that discussion board for hours a day. I'd never seen them. They had never messaged. They had zero history. And they messaged me and said, kid, I've been watching you for over a year. Don't want to see you quit for the next 24 hours. I will personally help you as much as I can, as long as you don't quit. I'll get you to make your first $1 so you don't quit. Now, we didn't have Skype back then. We didn't have Facebook back then. Again, wow. Talk about feeling old moment right now. We had to private message on the discussion board back and forth. And you know what? Then I thought, this person is obviously some troll. They're just trying to have a little good old laugh of a down and out, beat up guy. Well, turns out they weren't. I said yes. Thank God I said yes. Because if I hadn't said yes, God, guys, let's just have a moment here. I digress for a moment, okay? Please just say yes. So many of you, the opportunity is knocking on the door again and again and again and again, and you're too scared, you're too skeptical, always saying no to protect your rear hide, because God forbid something bad happens and you fail, or you have to fail or face the failure, or you get rejected. I had all those fears, but something made me say yes, right? It was I always say it was a divine moment. Something made me say yes. So I said yes. Whew, thank God. Because that was the moment my life truly changed. That person that night, I was up with them till 3 in the morning. They were showing me what to do, showing me how to do it, where to go, what to do, what to click, what not to do. Worked hard till 3 in the morning, finally passed out. 6 hours later, woke up, bam, sprang to the bed, ran, almost hit my head on the desk, logged in. I got goosebumps right now while I tell the story. I've told this story 1,000 times. I still get goosebumps every time. Best feeling I've ever had. Never had that feeling again. Well, that's not true. Probably had that feeling when I got married to the woman of my dreams. But beyond that, best feeling I ever had. $300 is what I saw. I had made $300 in 6 hours while I was sleeping. That was more money in 6 hours of sleeping than I had made in 18 months combined of hustling. That's interesting. One can actually make money when they're doing the exact opposite of hustling. So, the lesson there, guys, it's all about the system. There's lots of systems to making money online. There's not just one. There's lots of ways to be an entrepreneur. But you got to find one. You got to stick to one, and you got to really get the coaching and guidance and help that you need to get. So from that, I never turned back, guys. I've never had a day in my life where I've made less than $300 after that day. I scaled from there. That was in college. I never quit. I didn't take a job. I went straight. And it took me 6 years, but I built a company up to $10 million a year. I had 3 offices worldwide. I was rocking it. I was crushing it. I was killing it. All those words you see being used by entrepreneurs. Except 2008 happens. The economy collapses. But me, I'm too big of a badass for that to impact me, right? I'm too awesome. I got the golden touch. I can do whatever I want. So I keep scaling. I keep growing. Even though things stop working. I stop doing the things that are working because I get arrogant. And I start doing things that I want to do for purely nothing other than greed. I want to build the next $1 billion idea. I go buy companies in India. I set up huge offices, hire 100 employees. God knows what the heck I was doing. God, I'd go back and slap that Anik so quickly. But I did all of this, and guess what happens? A couple years after 2008, I'm $1.7 million in debt. This is a guy, I wish I went back to when I had $100 and I started my business in college. I was $1.7 million in debt. I owed American Express, I owed Visa, I owed MasterCard, I owed the local bank. That's all well and good. I don't give a crap about those people. But who I care about is my dad, my mom. They had to take a second mortgage on their home. My best friend gave me his life savings, $170,000. My friends, my other vendors I was working with, people who had spent money to make money with me, who I owed money, who I couldn't pay. They were losing money because I couldn't pay them. I owed $1.7 million. I didn't know what to do. I started drinking, started hiding. You know that Hollywood scene where you're drinking in the corner of a hotel, a motel, and a paper bag, whiskey bottle, and storming outside. I genuinely have had that moment. I'm not even joking. I've literally, it's like the most stereotypical scene, but it's happened in my life. Nearly dead, ending up in the hospital every few months. It was the worst time in my life. I would not wish that upon even my worst enemies. There are people in this world I do not like. You know who you are. But I wouldn't wish this upon you. It was that bad. And I thought that was it. I thought life was coming to an end. But you know what, man? I'm a fighter. I'm a fighting entrepreneur. You like how I segued that, didn't you? I'm a fighting entrepreneur. Didn't stop. Came right back from that. You know what? I went back. I went into reflection mode. I had a moment. I had my second divine angelic moment. I'm not going to get too much into the detail of it. Let me just put it this way. I almost bled to death on a plane. Luckily, someone caught it, stopped the plane right before it took off. They told me later I was about an hour from death. I would have gone into shock from blood loss 1 hour in over the Atlantic Ocean. There is absolutely nothing that could have happened because last time I checked, flight attendants cannot do a blood transfusion. That's it. But again, God intervened, right? Someone intervened, put their foot right in the door and kept it open. The plane was pulled over on the tarmac. When I came to, because I blacked out, I was being attached to a stretcher, being pulled down. That was a moment. When I came home from that, man, I was in a hospital in Amsterdam for a few days, barely surviving. When I came home for that, I said, okay, got to make some changes in life, man. This is not what I signed up for. And I went back and did some reflection. When's the last time you did some reflection? True reflection. I know, it's not your fault. You know, everyone says, not my fault, this happened, that happened. Can you just take a moment? And instead of actually looking for anyone to blame, when's the last time you just said, what happened? Like, what happened? So I did that. And I discovered that there were some very few simple mistakes I made. Usually, by the way, the biggest mistakes we make in our lives that take us down the wrong path, they're usually the simplest mistakes. They could be big, but they're usually pretty simple. And I made some very simple mistakes. Turned around, decided to decode them, and go back to the simple and go back to the basics, do it the right way. Before I knew it, 16 months later, I paid back every penny of my $1.7 million in debt. I never declared bankruptcy, paid every single person back with interest, was back on top, climbing back to a $10 million a year business. Today, I'm serial entrepreneur, serial philanthropist, serial author, speaker, you name it, kicking ass. My companies together collectively are doing over $30 million a year in sales, and needless to say, I'm freaking happy. This is what I envisioned when I started 15 years ago. This is the entrepreneur I wanted to be, the fighting entrepreneur. Love my life, love being able to talk to you guys, and that's what this podcast is for. Look, you want to be a fighting entrepreneur? We're going to teach you how to fall in love with failing. That's one of the things you have to do. You have to learn to fail. You have to learn to love to fail. I'm going to teach you how to become obsessed, crazy obsessed. Yes, crazy eyes. Just freaking determined and focused. Third thing, we're going to show you how to be persistent to the degree of near fault. You are going to become so persistent that Rocky will bow to you. I mean that. And last but not least, I'm going to show you how to be strategic. You got to learn how to think 3 steps ahead. The biggest, most successful entrepreneurs, the best leaders in the world today and ever in history have been people who think 3 steps ahead. We'll get you there. That's exactly why I want to invite you in, by the way. I want to invite you in to join our Lurn Nation. Go to lurn.com, LURN.com. Get a free membership. Nothing in it for me. I'm not making any money for you to sign up, but you want to be part of a badass community that'll protect you and host you up and help you and support you, and you can do the same for in return, then you better become a member of Lurn Nation because you're either a part of Lurn Nation or you're not. That's the truth right there. So you want to be a fighting entrepreneur? We're going to show you how to do that on this very podcast moving forward. It has been an esteemed honor, a pleasure. I'm going to have a lot of fun with you guys. You're going to see a different side of Anik, by the way. You're going to see a very, very different side of Anik on this podcast than you do everywhere else. Let me show you. You're going to see the raw Anik because I've been meaning and wanting to talk about a lot of these things. Haven't in the past. I will now. All right? We got a lot coming up. We're going to be talking to some amazing people in the future. I'm going to be bringing amazing things for you. As I travel the world, I will make sure I take my podcast with me. This is really a door into my life. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to becoming a fighting entrepreneur. And as I always say, right, when life pushes you, stand straight, smile, and push it the heck back. Welcome to the Fighting Entrepreneur.
Thanks for listening to The Fighting Entrepreneur with your host, Anik Singal.